Hello everyone, my name is Sydney Sidders and Solhan_do, and today we are back on the Kent Coast Walk. Today we are doing the Isle of Grain. Last time we did All Hallows to Grain, and today we're just going to be doing the little bit of coast by the village of Grain on the Isle of Grain. You see, we've got the River Medway behind me. It's absolutely beautiful. And in the other direction you've got the very end where the River Medway meets the North Sea. So on today's walk, the Isle of Grain special as such, we're going to be doing a tiny bit of coast which is north of the village of Grain. Unfortunately there's, as we knew last time, there's the area of MOD, the military land, that you can't walk through, so we're just going to walk as far north as we can until we get to the boundary of that, and then we're going to come back to where we are right now and head south to the edge of the industrial area of the Isle of Grain, which is as far south as we can go, and we'll be able to tick off this little bit of coast by Grain. I've also got, of course, our Gravesend and Rochester map, Who Peninsula number 163, as we've had for a while, though we're not really going to need it today because it's pretty straightforward going up and going down. I think we should get going. So yes, that is the way that we'll be going second, but first of all, by this lovely sandy beach they have here in Grain, we're going to be heading north as far as we can go. Also, once we're finished with today's walk, which is about 5 miles, it's actually longer than the last walk, despite the fact it's in sort of a more concise area. We're probably going to have a quick look at the Grain Fort as well. Well, that's one of the main attractions here, and it'd be nice to see what it's like. Such a lovely beach. So just about here we've got to go down there and scramble around the rocks a little bit to get to as far north as we can go along this coast. This northwards bit of the beach is a little bit tricky because you've got all these boulders here, and you've got the pebbles, and you've got the water right there as well. So it's just a thin little bit of coast that you can get around until we get to the military area. Oh, that is quite slippery. Onwards we're going. As usual, my mum's found a gigantic piece of driftwood that she wants to take home. This beach is absolutely covered in all these fascinating objects. You've got twisting bits of iron, well, metal, rusted metal. You've got this really interestingly coloured rock here. There's this huge, like, tarp thing that's going all the way along. I'm curious why they have these particular shaped man-made concrete blocks along here. You've got the beautiful, well, quite nice cliffs, basically. Of course, the driftwood. And just lots of fishing stuff everywhere. Despite the fact that we're scrambling across this beach with all these very oddly placed concrete slabs, there is also a footpath at the top of this this slope here. But with me, I want to stay as close to the shore as I can, just down there. Not too sure if you can see, but there's Essex on the other side of the Thames Estuary, the Greater Thames Estuary now. Of course, this water here is the Medway Estuary, So they meet just about in the water there somewhere. An interesting observation I just made is these cedar fences. They're all like embedded into the cliff. Like this one, it's all the way in. This one, you can see how far out it sticks, but put that, but inside the cliff. At some point, they must have had to have dug all this away to put them there in the first place, and then recovered them. We're just getting to the edge of the military area there. You can see the fence that cuts across the beach there. So we'll just go over there and then we'll head back to where we came from. We have made it to the edge of the military area, and this fence does actually mark the red boundary. So unlike last time where we could just see it across the fields, we are right by the boundary here. Though the security here isn't particularly good, you can just sort of hop through this gap here that's in the fence. Which does make me wonder if people have been coming through this way, if they have done that part of the coast, which I had in red on the map earlier. And I've just noticed that there are dog paw prints on the other side. So that man we saw earlier with the dogs, I wonder if he's gone over there. As I thought before, I don't really think there's any reason why that part of coast should be blocked off. So if at some point in the future they do open it to the public, I will come back and complete the part of coast that I had to miss. Right, so now that we've done the north woods part of the walk from Grain, we're going to head back to the car park where we started off and head south until we get to the industrial area. The industrial area, like the military area behind me, is another stretch of coast that isn't open to the public, so yeah, that's unfortunate, but hey ho. I have to say, also, despite it being my mum just threw a stick in the sea there, despite it being a short stretch, the northwards stretch from Grain has been one of the highlights of the walk so far, I think. This and perhaps the marshes just outside of All Hallows have been my favourite. It's been a really beautiful stretch. Wow. Across the water there's Essex. And we just came up from over there where I did my wow, this is amazing shot. And we decided to take the walk along the top of the cliff back. Grain is putting up a real battle for my top spot here of the this northwards part of the journey. It's beautiful. Both the path down there where you go through the concrete slabs and with the pebbles and stuff, and this cliff top bit. So we've reached a point here where we don't seem to be able to go a bit further because it's a bit overgrown. So we're going to take this path inland a little bit back to the car park and then rejoin where we started off our walk at the coast. Ah, that's interesting, considering there's a very worn path there. And now we've come across like a road barrier thing. Grain definitely has a lot of strange footpath designs. I feel like a lot of the time the paths in Grain seem to be trying to stop you going places by saying danger zone or danger keep out, when there's clearly these very worn footpaths that the local people use all the time. At this junction here, we've taken a turn past this fence, which leads us back towards the sea, and I just heard my mum say that I'm right, that this is the way to go, because it seems, if I turn this corner here, yeah, we're back at the car park, back at the Grain Coastal Park. So Mum picked up all of this rubbish on that one beach and she's just putting it into this bin right here. As you can see, just there's where we did the intro of our walk, and we shall head that way in just a moment. I'm actually going to drop off my coat at the car because I got a little bit hot on that bit of the walk. The view has really cleared since we were here last. You can see Essex super clearly. And not the Isle of Sheppey though, surprisingly. I was expecting to see that a bit more. So we're starting the second part of the walk now, and I've taken my coat off, left it in the car, hoping I won't regret that. But we did get a little bit hot on that first part, so it should be okay. Of course, we're going back down these steps that we just went down maybe an hour ago or so. So we can actually see Sheppey. I just completely didn't realise that that was Sheppey over there. Of course you've got Essex over there, and the Greater Thames Estuary that goes out into the North Sea. And then the Medway over here, and that is Sheppey. All of that land over there is Sheppey. This little square thing is Grain Tower, which you can walk to at low tide. And of course the River Medway goes in there and down to the Medway towns. Say in about 10 walks time we'll be over there at the Isle of Sheppey. You can see Sheerness Port over there, all of that industry there. Grain Tower. Seeing the estuary of the Medway here, it is truly fascinating. I would say spectacular, but there is industry there. I find it spectacular because I'm always the optimist, but it is really, really interesting. Now, me and my mum have decided to, at some point in the future, we'd like to walk out to Grain Tower just out there, which would be interesting, and I'll do a separate video on that. I will include it as a part of the Kent Coast Walk because it sort of counts, sort of. You can only get out there at low tide though, so we'll have to time that well, but keep an eye out for that video in the future. You can see just over there we're leaving Grain, the village, behind. As we head southwards along the River Medway, there's some sort of fort there, but I believe Grain Fort is in those trees, so we'll check that out on the way back. We've left the nice beaches of Grain behind, and we have now entered industrial land. So we've turned into a little bit of a bay here, came from that way, and we're now going down this little path across the beach. On the other side of the beach there's a wall that whereabouts is that? That wall there. Seems like you have to climb up that. If you don't want to do that though, you can always continue along here and up the slope there, and then along the wall instead of climbing over the wall like we're gonna do. The buzzing of the power station is so loud here, I don't know if you can hear that, but it's just constantly in the background. We're actually nearly done with our walk. Just up ahead, you see that little pier there? Well, that is as far as we can go. Over there you can now see the Sheppey Bridge. The bridge that connects the Isle of Sheppey to mainland Kent. We have made it as far as we can go today. Right behind me you've got the little pier which marks the boundary of the industrial port area on the Isle of Grain. They don't let you go any further than this, unfortunately, but this has been a really nice walk. I think it's my number one. Number 1111. Maybe, potentially. I think it is, definitely, possibly. There's a cormorant on the end of the pier just there, if you can see that. Descent onto the beach. Yay! I made it! There's amazing bits of wood here. Wow. Here we are at the very end of today's walk. Wow, this gigantic gap underneath this pier is very tormenting. I want to walk to the other end of this beach at least, but the signs are saying keep clear and privacy property, no access beyond this point. If you can see behind me there, there's the sign that says private property. Oh no. Oh no, I'm under the bridge. Oh no, what have I done? Oh, that's a nice shot over there. You got like a really nice view of the underneath of the pier here, and you can see the current going underneath as well. I'm just going to take a peek at what the sign on the other side says. Ah, it says the same. And does it say private property on that side? Oh, private property, no access beyond this point. But that's like the beach that you are allowed on. This is the beach you're not allowed on. But for some reason it's saying you're not allowed. I'm so confused. But yeah, there's the beach that's private and you're not allowed further. And eventually you would get to a point where you can't go further because of the port right there. I would definitely say if I was the person deciding where public right-of-ways were, this beach, come on, there's nothing here that's dangerous or we shouldn't be allowed to see, so I'd say at least open a public right-of-way as far as the actual industry where you can't go beyond, and then maybe have like a path that goes across the marshes so that there's almost the full way around Grain, even if you can't quite make it connect up. I think there would be a way to put a path across the landscape so that it almost continues the coast walk. Goodbye, beautiful beach.
Oh, sorry, am I being too noisy?
You are, with your beeping phone there. So, seeing as we've reached the end of today's walk, there's no better time than to say what the next walk will be, which is from the Grain industrial area and to the village of Stoke. I'm quite excited about that. It essentially starts on the other side of this blocked off area just behind us here. And walk into the village of Stoke along the River Medway. It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Today's walk has been lovely, but it's not over yet. The walk itself is over, but we're gonna go take a quick look at Grain Fort, which is the main attraction as such in the village of Grain, or the Isle of Grain in general. I don't know if Grain Fort has much to see because it's partially buried, I believe, but it'll still be an interesting sight to have a look at. Just retracing our steps in the highly overexposed shot here of my face. This is what makes up most of the mileage for this walk, is having to take walk all of the way back that we just came. Okay, so we're just leaving the coast for today and heading up to Grain Fort, which is up there somewhere in those trees. We're just walking through the woods here at Grain, and I think that's the fort across there, and this seems like it used to be a moat. So we're going to follow the paths around a little bit and see if we can find a good view from the fort. We just came up that path behind us through this wooded area by Grain, and I believe we're on top of the fort now. It's very buried, unlike previous forts we've found, and we're going to follow this path here, which I think follows the curvature of the top of the fort. It's incredible how buried this is, because that is a part of the roof. And it makes me wonder if we're standing on empty rooms of the fort right now, like below us somewhere. There might be chambers as such. You can see over here the bit that goes down in the middle of the fort. Oh, and just across there, on the other side, you can see the Church of Grain, which is lovely. Some more concrete down there. and a footpath that leads down to the middle bit. And over there's the village of Grain. You get some pretty good views from up here on top of the fort of the whole of the sea, and even over to Essex over there and Sheppey. What I want to know is how Grain Fort became so buried as it is right now. It's absolutely fascinating. And being in the state that it is in right now, has created this lovely coastal park for the people of the village of Grain and anyone who visits here. I'd say the one thing they need is some sort of sign just to say about the history of the fort. We were just up there on top and we went down and around to where we are now. But yeah, there's probably the biggest bit of wall that you can still see that hasn't been submerged by all the earth. We're going to continue along until we get to the church. Also passing Grain Park here. This footpath takes us back to the car park, and we'll just drive down the road a little bit to get a glimpse of the church that I thought we might as well have a look at while we're here. Back again at the car park. Here we are at Grain Church. The car park we were parked at by the sea is just down there. It's a lovely church called St. James's Church. Here's the sign that says it's St. James's Church, next to some beautiful flowers. Thank you very much for watching this video. I think it's been my favourite walk so far. I have to do like a little list and see which ones have been my favourite and which ones have been my least favourite. Make sure to comment down below, tell me what you thought of the stuff we saw on this walk. I hope you enjoyed. I always love to hear feedback about these walks. One last look at the church. Goodbye everybody, and I shall catch you with this Grain power station area to Stoke Walk next time.